Hello, I'm Tim Gordon with your weekly recap. We'll be catching you up on some of the biggest stories of the week, and that includes President Trump's announcement to send troops to Portland and the mostly unified local opposition. Plus, renewed safety concerns for a stretch of road in Boring after two separate deadly crashes. And a 10-year-old project in its final stages, what you can now expect to see visiting Oregon's state capitol building. Our top story of the week is the National Guard's expected arrival here in Portland. It's after President Trump announced on social media he authorized the deployment to protect the local ICE facility, but also described the city as war-ravaged. On Friday, the state of Oregon asked a federal judge to pause the deployment. Before the hearing began, the feds filed a motion asking the original judge, Michael Simon, to recuse himself to avoid the appearance of partiality. Simon is married to Oregon Democratic Congresswoman Suzanne Bonamici. On Saturday, Bonamici spoke out against President Trump's deployment of 200 Oregon National Guard members into federal service for 60 days.
This is a gross abuse of power by the president. He does not have the authority to send military troops to a city.
Lewis and Clark law professor Tung Yin says judges often recuse themselves if there's an obvious conflict of interest. Things like stock ownership or a close relationship to a party involved. But he says asking a judge to step off a case can be a slippery slope.
Kind of dangerous. You know the saying, you come at the king, you better not miss. If you file a recusal motion, you're basically laying out to the judge the idea that I don't think you can be fair.
Thursday afternoon, the case was reassigned to Judge Karen Immergut, who is a Trump appointee. Following the Friday morning hearing, she said she would make a decision by Saturday. This is a developing story here. To get the very latest updates, visit our website, kgw.com, or download our free KGW News app. While we wait for the outcome of that hearing, we're also tracking the nightly protests happening outside Portland's ICE facility. Protests Thursday led to 3 arrests at night. It happened after a small group of people peacefully protesting outside the facility, and an apparent agitator appeared to get in the faces of some of those demonstrators. Law enforcement officers were then seen arresting 3 people. Then, while federal officers pushed back the crowd to allow several vehicles to exit the facility, KGW was told one person was sprayed in the eyes with mace. KGW spoke with some protesters who say they came to counter the narrative.
The idea that this is even national news is already kind of silly. The idea that it's treated as a national threat is absolutely bonkers crazy.
Portland Police Bureau posted on X that it does not engage in immigration enforcement, but is still responsible for maintaining public safety and enforcing state laws. More than a dozen local mayors are pushing back against the president's plan to deploy troops. With a show of solidarity, they signed a message saying this is not just a Portland issue. They also told our Catherine Cook that the National Guard troops caught in the middle of all this are our neighbors and friends.
The number of troops that we want or need is 0.
The number of Oregon mayors backing Portland Mayor Keith Wilson, 17. On Monday, they stood behind him literally and figuratively, denouncing the Trump administration's deployment of Oregon National Guard members to what the president referred to as war-ravaged Portland. Among them, Beaverton Mayor Lacey Beatty.
We stand here today to tell the president he's listening to the wrong people. The president cannot watch footage from over a half a decade ago and believe this is the Portland that we're standing in today.
In a joint statement, the mayors said they'd pursue all legal and legislative options to deny their jurisdiction's resources from supporting militarized federal actions. But to National Guard members themselves, the mayors, including Wilsonville's Sean O'Neill, offered only respect.
I want to be clear. My criticism is directed at President Trump's decision, not at the men and women of the Oregon National Guard.
When these volunteers answered the call to service, they made a solemn promise to their communities and to the nation that the federal administration is now dishonoring.
Mayor Joe Buck of Lake Oswego said it's worse than that.
Being used as props to feign safety is actually not safe for anyone.
Many living in the suburbs whose mayors spoke out appreciated what they did.
Personally, I'm grateful for that united front because it also reinforces what our governor has said about resisting the concept that Portland is war ravaged and we need federal troops.
You can go up to Portland, there's no riots in the streets, there's none of that stuff going on around here. I don't know what he's talking about.
The justification for their presence in our cities is either a misunderstanding or a lie. I hope it is a misunderstanding that we can soon resolve.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
And all this happening alongside a government shutdown. Thousands of people across the country bracing for potential furloughs. Nearly 80,000 federal workers in Washington state and thousands more in Oregon are waiting for that or are working without pay. Senator Patty Murray says Democrats are fighting to protect health care and prevent cuts that could make coverage more expensive. However, Republicans say the shutdown was avoidable, accusing Democrats of refusing to compromise. The Better Business Bureau says now is the time to double check any major financial transactions tied to the government, like loans, payments, or refunds.
If you're waiting on some sort of processing through the federal government and somebody reaches out and they say, hey, I can help expedite this for you for a fee, that's a big red flag to watch out for. That's one of the common imposter schemes that we see. And we say avoid that. They're not legitimate. They can't actually help make the government shutdown go faster, essentially.
In 2019, a 35-day partial shutdown cost the U.S. economy about $11 billion. Financial experts say the longer a shutdown lasts, the more everyday consumers feel it, from reduced services, slower loan approvals, delayed refunds, or tighter credit. Well, cuts and changes to SNAP benefits in the U.S. by way of President Trump's big, beautiful bill are starting to be phased in. Oregon's Human Services Department says the changes will mainly impact three groups of people in the state: those who get utility assistance, those with no children who are able to work, and refugees or other lawfully present immigrants. Anyone applying for SNAP at this point will have to meet the new requirements. Other people will be notified of eligibility changes within the next few weeks. And we have more information about this in the online version of this story at kgw.com. Well, in an update, opening arguments began Wednesday in the trial of a Portland cannabis store employee charged with multiple counts of first-degree murder. 35-year-old Jason Steiner was working at La Mota in North Portland in October 2024 when three masked men entered the store and held him at gunpoint. They forced him out the front door. Then, moments later, video appears to show Steiner remove a semi-automatic handgun from his bag and return to the store to open fire. 2 people were killed. This is body camera video showing a conversation between Steiner and Portland police when they arrived on scene.
Do you know if I killed anyone?
We'll wait to speak with detectives. I'm not sure. I've just been hanging out with you.
Yeah. I didn't want to hurt anyone.
Steiner has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Well, 3 people died in Boring following 2 separate crashes in just a few days. The latest causing the roof of a local pub along Highway 212 to partially collapse. A warning, the images in this story may be disturbing for some viewers. Celine Stevens has all the details.
It looks like the building might be close to a total loss.
Around 6 in the morning, a vehicle crashed into Timber Pub and Grub off of Highway 212 in Boring.
I can't believe the devastation.
This video shows a vehicle zipping through the intersection before surveillance footage from the pub shows it slamming into the building.
There's going to be, probably quite a few people out of work for months now.
The owner says one employee was inside cleaning at the time, but luckily made it out safely. The driver of the vehicle died.
And this is the 4th time our buildings got hit over the years, and now the one next door, and 3 fatalities in 3 days.
This pub was also hit back in 2023. Surveillance footage then showing a truck crashing into the building.
Because everybody comes, pretty much hauling down the 212, and it's unfortunate. This keeps getting hit. I don't understand why.
But even more shockingly, a business next to the pub was hit Sunday afternoon. That crash leading to the death of the 2 people inside the vehicle and injuries to others inside the building.
We inquired with ODOT when we purchased the building about putting up some type of barrier, and we were told that there's apparently not enough room.
There is
barely room for the highway shoulder and the sidewalk, and the building structure is built right up to the sidewalk.
The Oregon Department of Transportation says from 2019 to 2024, there were 22 non-deadly crashes in this area, and in recent years, they've added more safety precautions. But after these 2 deadly crashes, as they wait to hear about a cause, they say there might be more to do from a traffic engineering perspective.
2 fatal crashes within 2 days. That's something that really, really shocks us and gets us to want to take a look at it.
Celine Stevens, KGW News.
Well, in a sign that fall has taken hold, Portland lifted its burn ban this past week, one that had been in effect since early July. That said, Portland Fire is urging residents to continue taking basic precautions. That means burning or cooking outdoors, a safe distance from buildings and vegetation, and properly disposing of cigarettes and cigars. Well, the environmental advocacy world was in mourning this past week. Jane Goodall died Wednesday at the age of 91. The institute that bears her name said she died of natural causes in California, where she was traveling as part of her U.S. speaking tour. Goodall is most known for her chimpanzee research in Africa back in the 1960s, but her impact stretched far beyond her native England. In fact, she helped fundraise for the Oregon Zoo's primate area as early as the 1970s. She even inspired the designs of the current primate forest habitat, which opened in 2020. Back in 1980, Goodall visited what was then called the Washington Park Zoo.
In chimp society, and this is quite rare in a lot of the animal societies, any male, whether he's high-ranking, middle-ranking, or low-ranking, even if he has a disability, he is able to sire an infant. And I think it is because of this ability of all the males with all their varied genes to sire infants that we find so much individuality. I mean, one chimp is as different from another chimp as one person is from another person.
Well, Goodall was most recently in Oregon back in April of this year when she visited Lincoln High School downtown, where she was telling students this.
You're my main reason for hope, because you're learning about the importance of respecting the environment and respecting each other.
A true titan of environmental advocacy, not just here in the Pacific Northwest, but around the world. Well, after 3 years of construction and restoration, the rotunda at Oregon's state capitol is back open. KGW's Devin Haskins takes us to Salem for a closer look.
Since 2016, the state capitol building in Salem has been under construction. It's part of the CAMPS project, which stands for Capital Accessibility, Maintenance, and Safety. It's a $505.7 million seismic and accessibility upgrade. Jody Jones is the project director.
We're not just bringing the building up to today's standards, but we have to respect and honor the fact that this was created in 1938, and we don't want to take away from that.
The project was split into 3 phases, each phase focusing on different parts of the Capitol building, making it more seismically safe and ADA accessible, as well as updating outdated electrical and mechanical units.
Phase 2 is wrapped up, as well as Phase 1.
Work is now in Phase 3, focusing on the original building and the rotunda, which just reopened.
Then when you walk into the rotunda, you're going to walk in and you go, wow, this looks really neat, but you're not going to, unless you know and remember what it looked like before.
That's because a majority of the work in the rotunda, that's the main entrance to the Capitol, was more cosmetic. If you look up, the painting at the top was restored.
So we were able to take the paint down to the original colors, to peel off all of those layers, and that's what we have restored it to, is the original colors that were painted in 1938.
New lights were also added to accentuate the various murals up high and new skylights to bring in more natural lights.
I hope people are excited that they can come back into their Capitol. I mean, this is the people's building.
Another change is how the public enters through the Capitol. Before, you would go through those front doors. Now, because of security measures, they've created new vestibules off to the side of those front doors that people will have to go through before getting into that rotunda. The director says this all should be wrapped up by spring of next year. In Salem, I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
And back here in Portland, business owners and those who frequent downtown can park for free a little longer. Mayor Keith Wilson paused an extension on pay-to-park hours this week for all of Portland. Many business owners tell us they spent months pushing back on the city's decision to charge for street parking until 10 p.m. instead of 7. Event district parking enforcement, like around Providence Park and the Moda Center, will remain the same. Local business owners tell us they believe pausing the extension is really the right move.
A lot of us are night owls, so we like to go and see the shops that are still open at nighttime and have the fun that we like to have fun, but not having to worry about, man, I got to save this money for parking.
Well, when the evening enforcement first began, PBOT said it was intended to create more turnover to increase parking availability. Well, this update was one of our top stories on our website. Progress made this week on an upcoming music venue that's in development near OMSI. The Portland Business Journal reported that a building permit has been issued now for a 2-story building at Southeast Water Avenue and Salmon Street. Once finished, the 62,000 square foot building will have a maximum capacity of 3,500 people. That's despite a local campaign opposing the development, which is backed by entertainment company Live Nation. It's set to open sometime next year. The Business Journal also reports a second venue is currently under construction at the Lloyd Center Mall. You got to check this out. Local ice cream maker Salt and Straw teamed up with Taco Bell to launch the Taco Lot. It's more famously known as the Choco Taco, which was discontinued by Klondike just a few years ago. It starts with a taco shell made from waffle cone. They fill it with cinnamon ancho chili ice cream, then dip it in chocolate with toasted brown rice. And they serve it with 2 Taco Bell inspired sauce packets. One is mango jalapeno, I like that. The other is wild berry cinnamon. All right, now here's your weather.
We are having ourselves a fall Friday in Portland. I phrase it that way because what we had this morning was a reminder that fall gets us back into fog season. You know, like much of the country, you don't see much fog in the summer, but in the fall and the winter months and in the spring, you do. And this is one of our foggier starts we've had so far this early fall season. So a lot of what I'm showing you is a map actually that was valid at 9 o'clock this morning, but I want to take a moment and use it as a learning tool for you. So when you see these visibility maps, which we use to show fog, you know, low visibility, the fog is worse and the visibility is the lowest, right? Where you see the 0.25, that's telling you that the visibility is being reported at 1/4 of a mile. The definition of dense fog is 1/4 of a mile or less. That's good to know. Where you see well, this was showing 10, now it's showing 9. But if you see a 10, that's showing you visibility is being reported as basically unlimited. So all good information. Like I said, we started off with widespread fog in Portland. Downtown Portland has lost the fog. We're actually seeing partial clearing already take place in some areas. Other spots still looking at fog, especially down in Salem. But overall, we will become partly cloudy. And the satellite picture is showing, doesn't pick up on the fog, but it is showing that the only spots getting any rain over in Idaho and then southeastern Oregon. So our run of 4 days in a row of some major rainfall, as expected, has ended. And we're going to go on looking forward to a really nice Friday. 5 p.m. this afternoon, this is partly cloudy skies, Salem, Portland, Vancouver, and along our coast. Really nice weather. Now, folks out and about this evening will notice increasing clouds. I think during the evening we'll stay dry. But this cloud band from a weakening front that's mainly to our north, but we're getting some clouds from it, will give us the chance of a traceable amount of rain overnight tonight and a traceable amount of rain where you see the green specks at some point tomorrow, mainly in the morning hours. The latter part of Saturday, we start to clear out of that, and then the clearing takes hold Saturday night. I didn't stop at Sunday morning, but Sunday morning there could be some fog pockets or some low cloud cover briefly. Modeling shows we start to pick up an east wind as early as 4 a.m. Sunday morning. That east wind will eat away rapidly at any low clouds or fog we have, so Sunday will quickly go on to just be beautifully clear, which is what we've been expecting. And Sunday, maybe you're coming into town, it's the Portland Marathon. So the weather for the Portland Marathon looks to be absolutely wonderful. Okay, some live cameras to show off. Of course, you get above the fog, typically, up at Timberline Lodge, 6,000 feet, and look at what's above the fog. Nothing, just a deep blue sky. And it's great to see white back on our mountains, right? Remember we had some sticking snow as low as 6,500 to 7,000 feet this week, and Mount Hood looking great. All right, now, still some fog this morning, especially along the Columbia River, which is what you're looking at here from our Vancouver the Springs at the waterfront location. And then Portland, the fog coming into the city has lifted. We've been now partly cloudy to kind of clouds to partly cloudy as these low clouds are in the process of trying to lift and get out of here, which they eventually will. The fog has been stubborn in other spots. Here's wine country, our Chehalem tasting room camera. Our valley forecast showing that as we go into the afternoon, everybody's expected to at least be starting to break up the cloud cover. We'll go on to have afternoon sunshine, light west winds, temperatures in the 60s. Same situation up in southwest Washington, Vancouver at 68. And really statewide, once you get inland, you're looking at temperatures primarily in the 60s. Here come our 7-day forecast numbers for the weekend. The impact alert will be gone this afternoon as we get partly cloudy skies, a high of 68. Tomorrow, maybe a trace of rain, but mainly dry, not bad. And then that sunny day on Sunday, 73, and basically clear skies on Monday, Tuesday, and staying dry into Wednesday.
3, 2, 1.
On Sunday, an estimated 12,000 runners will hit the streets for the annual Portland Marathon.
The running community in Portland is so amazing. There's so much support, welcoming people of all abilities and all paces.
For Seth Buckwalter, who leads a local run club, the race is about setting goals, no matter the distance.
The most exciting thing about Sunday is having 12,000 people down in the waterfront registering. They're showing up, they're trying to finish, and they're trying to break PRs.
As always, the marathon course crosses the Broadway, Burnside, and Selwood bridges. TriMet says 20 bus routes will have slight detours, and the race also crosses the Max line at 4 locations, meaning some riders could see some slight delays from 5 a.m. until the race wraps up. This year's marathon also unfolds with Portland in the national spotlight after the president's decision to send National Guard troops into the city.
You know, I think there's a lot of talk surrounding Portland. It's coming back. We're having a really great, we're feeling very safe.
I'm just really hoping that we end this marathon with everyone just being safe, feeling good, and, you know, everyone having a great time.
Still, runners say focus is on community and celebration.
It's really a day for celebration. What people have looked up to all this time.
So Sunday, I am running the Portland Full Marathon, and I'm pretty stoked about it.
The event includes a half marathon, a full marathon, obviously, a 10K, and a kids' fun run. All of those races, they start and finish in downtown Portland, and they loop through dozens of Portland neighborhoods and crossing 3 bridges. So the most impactful is a full closure of the Broadway Bridge, 6:30 to 9 a.m. The westbound lane of the Selwood Bridge will be closed from 6:30 to 10:45, and the ramp from Water Avenue to and from the Hawthorne Bridge will also be closed from 7:30 until 1:30. Chris McGinnis, KGW News.
And that is a wrap on your weekly recap. I'm Tim Gordon. Have a good and safe weekend. And remember, you can catch up on the latest headlines anytime on KGW.com, your KGW app, or our YouTube channel.